A single infant's DNA rewrite didn't just save his life, it might change medicine. Let's unpack that.
Today is May 25th, 2025. KJ Muldoon, a baby born with a rare and deadly genetic disorder, is the first person to receive a gene therapy designed just for him. Let's start simple. What exactly happened in this case?
KJ was diagnosed shortly after birth with carbamoyl phosphate synthetase 1 deficiency, or CPS1. It's quite rare and often fatal. Nearly half of affected infants don't survive. The usual solution is a liver transplant. But here, doctors at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and Penn Medicine used CRISPR gene editing to target the exact mutation causing KJ's illness.
So they actually edited his DNA? I'm curious. How do you make sure you're targeting only the faulty part of the gene?
CRISPR lets scientists pinpoint the precise spot in the DNA that's mutated. For KJ, the tool was crafted to work only inside his liver cells, correcting the single error. This wasn't a generic treatment. It was built for his particular mutation.
That's a major step forward. But I'm wondering, how fast did this all happen? Usually, genetic therapies can take years to develop.
In this case, it took just 6 months from diagnosis to treatment. They had to move quickly because KJ's life was at risk. It meant researchers, doctors, regulators, and manufacturers all working together. He received 3 infusions, starting at 6 months old.
So, what happened after the treatment?
The changes were striking. KJ started to gain weight, reached his developmental milestones, and there were no serious side effects. His doctors and parents say he's thriving.
It almost sounds like something out of a novel. But I want to understand, how is this different from typical gene therapy?
Most gene therapies are designed for groups of patients with similar mutations, or they help manage symptoms. Personalized gene therapy goes a step further. It repairs the exact genetic mistake in just one person. For KJ, the edit was limited to his liver and won't be passed on to future generations.
That's very targeted. But isn't there a risk? Editing DNA, even a small part, could cause other issues, right?
Off-target effects are definitely a worry. That's when edits happen somewhere unintended in the genome. That's why there's careful testing and monitoring, both before and after the therapy. For KJ, nothing major has shown up so far, but it's still early.
Let's zoom out for a moment. This was a single patient. How do you even begin to scale something like this for all the people with rare diseases?
Scaling up is tough. Personalized therapies take a lot of resources, advanced labs, tight regulation, strong coordination. The costs are high, and access is a real challenge, especially in places with fewer resources.
Are there any efforts underway to make these therapies more widely available?
There are proposals for new funding, more collaborative research, and better gene editing platforms are on the table. Regulators are looking at new frameworks, things like N-of-1 trials and compassionate use, to help patients who have no other options.
How does this change the drug approval process? Traditionally, it's years of trials before treatments are available.
For KJ, approval was fast-tracked under compassionate use and the N-of-1 trial pathway. It's a different route, designed to balance speed with safety. If more therapies take this approach, regulators will need to adapt.
And on the ethics side, who decides which patients get these treatments first?
That's still being debated. People are worried about fairness, access, and whether these technologies could widen healthcare gaps. Policymakers and advocacy groups want reforms to make sure breakthroughs reach more people.
So, are we at a turning point, not just for rare diseases, but for treating genetic disorders overall?
Yes, we really are. This isn't only about KJ. His case opens the door for treating other rare and eventually more common genetic conditions. But there are still big questions. How do we keep it safe, fair, and affordable as this spreads?
And if someone listening today has a rare genetic diagnosis, how soon could they hope for a similar treatment?
It's difficult to say. More success stories will help push research and approvals forward. but the main hurdles now are scaling up and making therapies accessible. It'll take science, policy, and investment working together.
So in the end, one child's survival has shown what's possible in medicine, but also highlighted tough questions about who benefits and how quickly others will have access.
That's right. KJ's story is a real example of hope, but it's also a challenge for the medical community and for society as a whole.
Thank you for joining us. This episode was powered by mynews.studio. Try it now, free.